I feel like Paper Mario The Origami King got overlooked this week. It's a pretty high profile release for the Switch, to be honest. I don't think they've released very many first party games this year because of everything going on. I would imagine that it's probably going to get a little bit worse for the system. I don't think there's anything even coming out for the Switch this year, at least first party wise. So getting a game like this should have been a big deal, but it kind of went a little unnoticed. I think it got overlooked with all of the Ghost of Tsushima stuff going on. I've kind of overlooked it. I did pick the game up. I think it's an all right game. I'll give some comments on it in a minute, but it got overlooked by all of the nonsense going on with Ghost of Tsushima and the fact that Ghost of Tsushima is a fantastic game. A lot of people mad about that game this week. It seems like every day something was coming out. Oh, it's problematic, it's racist, it's cultural appropriation, all this stuff. Like, the press is going insane about it. Paper Mario, though, you would think there would be no reasons to complain about it. What could you possibly say about this game? Well, don't worry. It's not only problematic, it's hyper masculine and colonialist. That's right. They've found reasons to complain about Paper Mario. I never would have thought this would happen, but yet here we are. Don't worry, we're only a couple of weeks away from people crying about Goombas being indigenous peoples, and it's racist to stomp on them if you're Paper Mario or something. I mean, doesn't Mario just embody toxic masculinity when you look at him? Don't you just think toxic man? For real, look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's the pinnacle of manliness. So let's start off with this review by the outlet called Paste, who I believe must have been sniffing it to come with some of the conclusions that they did in this review, but we'll get to that. The first half of it starts off as a normal review. There's not really anything wrong with the first part of it. In fact, I agree with some of their complaints and praises of the game. Now, I've actually been playing it. I'm not that far because I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, which is a very, very fun game. Not that Paper Mario isn't fun. In fact, there's a lot of things I like about Paper Mario. I like the Paper Mario series. I think that they're fun games. I like, especially as, hardware gets a little bit more advanced, some of the color and effects in the games. Like, the game looks beautiful. I'm always shocked and amazed on what Nintendo can do with their limited hardware and how good a lot of this stuff looks. I mean, you can look at Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Galaxy, Breath of Wild. Go ahead and look at Wind Waker HD. I mean, there's so many examples of them making underpowered hardware really make their game shine. And there's some stuff in Paper Mario that I think just looks really good. It's not graphically blowing anybody away, but the colors and the designs and everything really makes the game pop. And I think the paper elements of it are fun. The game is, at its core, fun. There are problems, though. And a lot of that has to do with the battle system and the fact that battling enemies is kind of useless. You don't really get anything out of it. It's mostly in the fun themes and the humor of the game with stuff that happens that makes the game fun. Like something like this. This is a good paragraph here by this writer. About halfway through my playtime, I discovered a coffee shop hidden in the walls of a water temple. I opened up the door to find a Koopa with two of Bowser's minions relaxing and drinking coffee. What will you have? The Koopa asked me. I bought the Uncafe and listened to the Shy Guy and Goomba jest about which of its minions is cooler. It was a small moment, but it was mundane. It was nonsense. I loved it. I like that stuff too. That's some of the appeal to the Paper Mario games, is the humor and fun stuff like this. I agree with this part of the review. Some of this part in the first part is actually pretty spot on with the game. And then we get some genuine criticism on the battle system. The battle system becomes a hindrance in comparison. Talking about some of the other flaws, but the fun of the game. The battle system in the game sucks. Some of it's fun. As you save toads throughout the game, like every battle is in this paper arena, and the more toads you save, the more the more show up in the arena to cheer you on during fights. I like that. But the little puzzle system where you line up the bad guys to jump on them and stuff, it gets a little annoying. And then the boss fights are even worse because you have to follow these arrows. It's tough to explain without showing you video footage. But they make it kind of a pain, more so than it needs to be. I understand they wanted to try something different, and that's fine, but I feel like it really will cause a lot of people to quit the game midway through. If that wasn't there, I would be playing that game all the way through because I really love Mario games. I love Nintendo games. And I probably would have played and finished that before I beat Ghost, but the battle system is so annoying, I just want to go back and play Ghost. So it is what it is. I don't think it ruins the game. If you love Paper Mario games, I think there's a game here to love and play. But it will probably be a deal breaker for a lot of people. And that's really it. I mean, that's kind of, I think, most reviews of this game in a nutshell. If you go over to Metacritic, you'll see that it's got an 81 based on 72 critic scores, and the user score is a 6.8. So pretty mixed on user scores. Now, I actually read that some people are review bombing the game, actually. I saw a couple videos saying people were trying to review bomb it. You got 154 negative reviews. Now, I can't back up if that's true or not. I don't know. I haven't really looked through the user reviews, but I could understand that people are probably upset with this game for a few of the reasons that I've listed. But for the most part, I think the game's all right. It's probably, I'd give it a 7 or an 8. Maybe a 7.5 is actually a fair score for this game, so it's worth playing, but don't expect a masterpiece. And I think that that's actually the gist of most reviews that are fair. But then we get to why Paste calls the game problematic. What is their reasoning for this game? Well, the real review starts right here. This reveals the limited ambition of Origami King as Nintendo as a corporate game company. At that, historically, there is a standard of corporate design meant to adhere to a limited audience and alienate the rest. Video games are saturated with decades of colonial, masculine, and military violence and foster a dominant culture of design through its standards. Despite the charm and fun that is in Origami King, I can't imagine game design outside of the realm that corporate game development has engineered. Unfortunately, this means there are implicit, harmful politics within the game because it upholds these values.
How dare you!
So because the game was made by Nintendo, corporation, capitalism, whatever, we can just go ahead and throw that in there even though they don't say it. Corporations want to thrive in a capitalistic market, so they make games to make money? I don't quite get that one. But don't forget, video games are saturated in decades of colonial, masculine, military violence. So because of that, this game is automatically a problem. What's the Origami King? He's a king who has taken over Mario's kingdom. Maybe that's what they're talking about. So the origami people have subjected the Mushroom Kingdom to colonialism. I'm trying to understand the complaint here because it's almost like, because I've read this whole review and it's almost like this was shoehorned in here for maybe a word search or for virtue pats. I don't know. I mean, this is a really big reach, but it's enough for this game to have gotten knocked down in its score. The game was knocked down score points because of this. Okay, it wasn't for the gameplay, wasn't for anything else. It was mostly because of this. It's very strange. And this is a big thing. Sophia Narwitz pointed this out over on Twitter. Complaining about colonialism in a Mario game, modern game journalism needs to be taken out to pasture, even if it means taking myself with it. And then she pointed this old tweet out that she made. I saw this back in December. I remember it because it was a good point. Where she showed all of these pictures showing all of these takes on video games and colonial stuff. Like, It's very strange, but it really does seem to be the new buzzword for game journals. They want to move on from everything being ist and phobe and maybe move over to colonialism. I don't know. It's really strange. Like, I don't think gamers give a damn about any of this. They just want to have a fun game. But this is the journalist mindset, that they want to find these things that nobody really cares about in a video game and whine about it. Because they're all activists. They're not gamers. They're activists. And that's the truth. None of them care about gaming. None of them care about gaming culture. None of them care about gamers. All they care about is activist movements, being activists, and trying to virtue their way to better outlets. Look at Jason Schreier, who has done some legit good journalism in his time. He still likes to virtue up and down over on Twitter, but a lot of that moved him up to like Bloomberg. So he's not at Kotaku now. He's moved up the NPC media ladder by doing a lot of this stuff. Though he does have a lot more talent than your common game journals. I'll give him the fact that he's done some really good pieces. He really has, but he also has done a lot of nonsense as well. Most of the people in game journalism focus on the nonsense. They don't usually try to do good reporting in between the nonsense. But anyway, let's move on. A power that Olivia, who is, by the way, Paper Mario's companion buddy, think typical Nintendo video game assistant that follows you around. It's kind of almost a trope at this point. Like Mario had his hat in Odyssey and so on and so on. And you get the idea. But anyway, a power that Olivia can use throughout the adventure is the transformation into velumentals, which is like a thing you do where your arms will become origami, basically. Or you can use the boss's powers, stuff like that. I'll explain a little bit more. These take a lot of inspiration from Super Sentai, which is Power Rangers, if you don't know what that is, as transformation sequences and giant monster battles are prominently featured. However, in order to obtain these powers, they must be stolen. So they're saying you're stealing these powers, so they're colonialist. I guess in a way, then Mega Man practices colonialism, because when he defeats super fighting robots, he colonializes their power. I mean, this is a stupid complaint. It really is. And it's not a Super Sentai thing. He doesn't put on a magic suit. He gets origami arms. What a stupid complaint. Do you even know? Are you just putting Super Sentai in there because he transforms? Just transforming isn't an inspiration from Super Sentai. He doesn't have a Power Rangers suit on. His arms become origami. It's really strange. He's not saying like Tyrannosaurus. Like he's just getting origami arms. It's really strange. And if it really was a transformation sequence from Power Rangers Super Sentai, there would have been an explosion. Instead, it's just a bright flash. It's not the same. But because Mario has this power that he gets from these giant monsters, the boss battles, that's now a practice of colonialism. When I say stolen, I mean Mario enters shrines built for local animal gods who are minding their business and kills them to take their powers. While there isn't much said about these battles, I find myself uncomfortable taking each of them out. Here I was breaking into places of home and worship only to kill and steal. That's right. This is a real complaint. It keeps going here and going and going. I don't want to go too much more into it, but what I did find funny is the final statement. There's a new word here in this one. Oh, they also say this too. This is funny. There is also possibly the worst treatment of Princess Peach as a character that I can remember in recent history. She's turned into a servant for the villain of the game and eventually just becomes the centerpiece of his wall later on. If she wasn't objectified enough as the object of marriage, then maybe just make her a piece of architecture, I guess. I think about these politics each time I am struck by the landscapes of Mario's journey. I look over the beautiful landscapes formed by the layering of colored parchment. So every time you look at the beautiful backgrounds of the game, you think about Princess Peach as a piece of furniture and the colonialism themes in the game, if there are any. Now, I was actually, I'm looking at the backgrounds and I'm thinking how beautiful they are, but I'm mostly also just enjoying the game. I don't know. It's just really weird reasons to complain about the game. It's very lost bunch of people in our society today. Isn't life bad enough that you have to find reasons to get triggered and be upset over a Mario game? I would want to go into a Mario game to escape my problems and have fun. I mean, they're fun, almost childish games to just lose yourself in, but you're going to complain about systematic oppression while you're playing Paper Mario. It blows me away. It's crazy. But let's take a look at this last paragraph. Many of these implicit politics shine through Origami King, and despite the joys I had playing it, I only found reason to be excited for smaller studios making games inspired by the series. Sure, it has a lot of funny jokes. A lot of little puzzles and vignettes are also as fun as well. However, it's hard to look past the masculinist, colonialist ideals it holds onto and consider coming back again. I'm not sure I'll be able to forget the fun and laughter of Origami King, but I also won't forget its problems. Now, masculinist is a funny word. Now, I talked about this at the beginning of the video, how he represents the most masculinist of men. Masculinist. They've actually managed to turn masculine into an ist. I gotta give props. I never thought that would have happened. Masculinist. I think this is the first time I've heard that used. So the award is given to this one. Masculinist. Masculine. Toxic masculinity wasn't good enough. Now it is part of the ist and phobe set of words. That's a new one. But imagine being so upset and triggered all the time that a game about the Mario universe turned into paper became some reason for you to complain about systematic oppression. Playing Paper Mario. Anyway, if you want my honest opinion, the game is average. If you really love Paper Mario, check it out. If you really like Mario, maybe check it out. Other than that, I think that's fair. I don't think the game needs a trigger warning. I think just go play the game if you want to have some fun with the Mario Nintendo characters. If not, it's not for you. That's really the end of it right there. Don't worry. I don't think you're going to see any hyper-masculine, toxic masculinity traits in Mario. I think you can just have a good time. As long as you're not thinking about this stuff 24/7, you should be able to just immerse yourself in the game like a normal person and have fun. Anyway, that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Also, if you would, please throw a like up, share the video, make sure you still subscribe. Subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.